So for the blue bust piece, I'm going to be using this color, and then first step I am going to do a slip knot, just like that, and then slide my hook through that. Now you're going to do a chain of 21. This is for the side edges of the blue bit. So once you've got your 21 chains, you're going to do 3 more. This is your turning stitch. And now I'm going to double crochet along my chain. So you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the 21st chain, and then you're going to grab onto your yarn and pull up a loop. You're going to grab onto your yarn again and then pull through 2 loops, and then again, just like that. That's a double crochet. So you're going to repeat this process until you reach the other end of your chain. Once you have double crocheted to the end of your chain, you're going to do a chain of 3 as your turning stitch, and then you're going to flip over your piece and do the same thing back. So you're going to double crochet into every single stitch. So you're going to double crochet all the way to the end, and then in the next row I am going to do a decrease on just this side, so not the bottom edge, just the top edge. I don't think I mentioned previously, but the double crochets I'm doing is actually called back loop double crochets. So it's a double crochet but only in the back loop, if that makes sense. So you still do your so everything's the same, but when you insert your hook into the next stitch, instead of putting your hook through both these 2 loops, you're only going to put your hook through the one closest to you. So it would look like this, and then you've got the other loop on that side. Yeah, and everything else is just the same. I thought I'd mention it because it would look a little bit different if you did normal double crochets, but there's not really that much of a difference. I just like the look of these ones better, that's all. So change of plans. I think I want to do 1 more row of back loop double crochets before I start decreasing, so I'm just gonna not decrease just yet. So I've got 3 rows of double crochets, and going to the 4th row, my turning stitch is just going to be 1 chain instead of 3, just like that. And then I'm gonna flip my work over, and this time you're going to decrease a stitch. So to do that, you are going to insert your hook into the first stitch, the back loop of the first stitch, and then pull up a loop, and then you're going to insert your hook into the second stitch and pull up a loop again. You should now have 3 loops on your hook, and you're going to yarn over and pull through 2 of the loops, and now you should have 2 loops on your hook, and you're going to yarn over again and pull through the remaining 2 loops. So you've got 1 loop on your hook, and that is a decrease. So now I'm just going to continue doing my double crochets until the end of the row, and on the way back from this end, I'm also going to decrease a stitch on this edge. So basically you're only going to decrease stitches on the end that you have already decreased stitches, so here, and on this end you're going to keep it straight. So I've crocheted back into the decreased end of my piece, and I've got 2 stitches left. So same thing again, you're just going to insert your hook into the first back loop, then you're going to pull up a loop, then you're going to insert your hook into the last stitch and then pull up a loop, and you should have 3 loops on your hook, and you're going to yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2 again. And now you're going to do another decrease, so chain 1 as a turning stitch, flip your work over, insert your hook into the first loop, the back loop of the first stitch, pull up a loop, insert your hook into the second stitch, the back loop of the second stitch, pull up a loop, so you've got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 2 of the loops, and then yarn over and pull through another 2. And now continue on with the double crochets till the end of the row. So I'm currently crocheting my 7th row, and for the next 7 rows you don't have to decrease any stitches on this side. So here I've done 7 rows, this is my 7th, and at the end here we are going to decrease a stitch. So to do that, so you're going to insert your hook into the first stitch, pull up a loop, and then insert your hook into the second stitch, which is also the last stitch, and pull up a loop. You should now have 3 loops on your hook, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then you're going to yarn over again and pull through the remaining 2 loops on your hook. And that is a decrease, and your turning stitch will be just 1 chain for this one, and then you're going to flip this over and you're going to decrease a stitch again. So now you're just going to go ahead and double crochet the remainder of the row without decreasing any stitches, and then on the way back here, when you have 2 stitches left, you're going to decrease the stitch again. So your blue piece looks something like this, and it's big enough for half of the front of your body. Then you're going to tie off your yarn. So to do that, I am going to do a chain of 2. 1, 2, and then grab some scissors, cut off the tail of that, and then just pull that one through and tighten the knot like so. And mine was 15 rows by 21 stitches at the start, and then after the decreases I've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 stitches. So now you're just going to go ahead and make this exact piece again. I did a decrease on this side every row for 3 more rows. Hi guys, so I've just done my 2 bust pieces, and I actually did extra 3 back loop double crochet rows at the bottom just because I felt like this wasn't really big enough. So now we are going to connect these 2 pieces together. We're going to have the right sides facing towards the camera right now. And I've got my needle with a piece of yarn in it, so I'm just going to start sort of sewing it together. And to do that, I'm going to insert my hook into just a loop on the first stitch of one of my pieces, and then I'm just going to move these up so you guys can see. And then I'm going to insert it into the loop on the other piece as well, and then just pull that one through. And then I'm going to insert my hook into the next loop on the right piece, and then insert my needle through to the loop on my left piece, and then pull that one through again like so. And then same thing, I'm going to insert my hook into my left piece and also my right piece, and then just pull it through. And then again. Back and forth, and as you can see already, it's all sewn up in the center here, and we are just going to repeat this until you reach the top, and then we are going to tie off the yarn. Okay, I've just connected the center together, and now we are going to tie off our yarn. So I'm just going to insert my hook into just some random loop. It doesn't really matter where, it's just to make a knot. And then there's that loop there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see. And now I'm going to insert my hook into that loop, my needle, and then you want to keep this loop here open as well, so it looks like this, and you're going to insert your needle through into that loop again, just like this, and that would create a knot for you, so you can just go ahead and tighten that. And then that would be all secure, but I usually like to do a few like just extra knots like onto random loops on the inside of my tops, just to make sure that it wouldn't come undone, because you know that's a bit embarrassing. And I just do it pretty much the same way that I did the knot just then. So yeah, I would just go ahead and maybe do a couple of those, and then if I think I'm all good to cut off the ends of my yarn, then I will just go ahead and do that, since it's already all secure. There's that bit completed, and as for the bottom, we would obviously have to cut our yarn and then just do the same thing that we did up here, make a few knots, just however many you need for it to be fairly tight, and to make sure that it wouldn't come undone. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave a bit of a tail and then cut that one off, and got my crochet hook back. Gonna just insert my hook into that one over there, and then pull up a loop, and then pull the tail of the yarn through the loop that's on your hook, and that would be a knot. And then, as I said before, I like to do a few more, so I'll be going ahead and just doing that at the back. And that is it for connecting the center. Now we are going to move on and make the rest of our top, and I'll be using white for this. So now we are going to make the bottom half of the top, and I'll be using some white yarn. So first step, I'm going to just make a slip knot, and then I am going to grab my hook and insert my hook into the first stitch of just in the corner here. Then I'm going to place that slip knot onto my hook and pull that one through, and then I'm going to do a chain of 10. So a chain is a yarn over and pull the loop through. And that's my 10 chains there, and then I'm just going to tie it off. So the way I tie it off is I just do one more chain, or I usually do 2 more, so we're going to do 2 more, and then I cut off my yarn and then pull the tail through and then tighten that knot, and that's what it looks like. And you're going to do the exact same thing with the other side. So slip knot, inserting your hook into the corner stitch, and then pulling it through, and then doing 10 chains. And then 2 more to just tie it off. There we go. And this is what it looks like so far. So now with our white yarn, I'm just going to make a slip knot again, and then insert my hook into the first chain on the right hand side. Because I'm right-handed, I'll be crocheting from right to left across my top, so just going to insert my hook into the first stitch of that chain, place my slip knot on my hook, pull that one through, and then we are going to do 3 chains. Oops. Like so. This is to make up for the height of the double crochet, and then yarn over, and then insert our hook not into the next double crochet but into the one after. So you're going to insert your hook in there, pull up a loop. You should now have 3 loops on your hook. Then you're going to yarn over, pull through 2 of those loops, yarn over and pull through the rest of the loops. And then we are now going to chain 1 and yarn over. So we've got 2 loops on our hook, skip the next chain and insert our hook into the chain after, and then we're going to grab onto our yarn and just pull up a loop. So we've got 3 loops on our hook, and then just do that and chain again. So this will be the pattern for basically the rest of our top, chain, double crochet, and then chain, and then double crochet and chain, and repeat. And then once you've done all the chains, you're going to start doing the same thing but along the blue edge, obviously. So I'm just going to yarn over as usual and then skip the next stitch, but this time I'm only going to insert my hook into the front loop of this row, so not both loops, just the front one. And then I also like to tuck the tails of my yarn behind, like so. I'm going to grab onto my yarn, pull it up, so I've got 3 loops, and then you're going to grab onto your yarn, pull through 2 of those loops, and then grab onto your yarn again, pull through 2 loops. So that's a double crochet, but I just explained it again. So this is what it looks like, and you're going to follow this pattern until you reach the desired length for your top. And if you don't know how to turn your work to start working into the next row, like at the end of this row, you can just do 3 chains and then start in the next row. So I've just done my first row of white, and now I'm going to show you guys how I move into the next row. So I'm just going to do my turning stitch, which is a chain of 3, and then I just flip my work around. So I'm going from right to left again, and same thing, but this time you're not going to be crocheting in like the stitches, you're going to be crocheting in between the double crochets, so in these gaps. Actually, I'm going to be crocheting in the chains, but only inserting my hook into the back loop of each chain. So, and then after each double crochet you have to do a chain again. And this is what it looks like. You're just going to be doing this for the rest of the row, and then when you need to move into the 3rd row, it's just the same steps, doing your turning stitch and then continuing on with the pattern. And yeah, so I'm going to crochet the rest of this bit off camera, and then I'll come back when I'm ready for the next part, which will be the sleeves over here. So I've finished crocheting my white bit, and now to tie it off, I'm just going to do 2 chains and then cut my yarn and then tighten that knot. So here's my top so far, and next I'm actually going to make a little trim for the edges of this blue bit. So I'm just going to first off make a slip knot with my yarn, and then we're going to be single crocheting along the border. So I'm going to start in this stitch over here and just insert my hook into a loop, and I'm going to place my slip knot onto my hook and pull it through, and then I'm just going to chain 1 like so, and now I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch, and then I'm going to pull up a loop and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. And this is a single crochet, and you're just going to do this all the way around your blue border to here, and then you're going to tie it off. And when you reach a corner, you're going to do 1 chain before continuing on with your single crochets. So I've done quite a bit more since I last filmed. So what I did was I finished the single crochet border all the way around the blue bit, and I tied it off by doing 2 chains and cutting off my yarn. And then I did a few rows of double crochets, just extending on from the blue bit to wrap around my armpit, sort of under my armpit, and then we can do the sleeve going from there to here. So now I'm going to show you guys how to do this part. So with my white yarn, I'm going to start off by making a slip knot like this, and then I'm going to insert my hook into the corner stitch on my white trim, and I'm going to place my slip knot onto my hook and pull it through. Then I'm going to do a chain of 3 like so, and then I'm going to double crochet into every single stitch, And again, I'll be doing back loop double crochets, so I'll only be inserting my hook into the back one of the 2 loops, and then I also like to tuck the tail of my yarn behind like so, and then just double crochet as you usually would. And you're going to do this along the side of this edge until you reach the very last stitch. So I'm going to yarn over as usual, and then when I insert my hook into the back loop of my very last stitch, I'm going to also insert my hook into the edge of this part. So I'm just going to insert it into just any stitch on there, and then pull up a loop, and then pull the loop through it again. So I've got 3 loops on my hook, and then double crochet as usual. And now I'm going to do my turning stitch, which will be 3 chains. So each chain I'm going to insert my hook into the edge of this part, and then chain from there, and then same with the next one, and just one more to make that 3. There we go. And then we're going to just turn our work around, so we're working from the right hand side to the left hand side again, like this, and then you're going to just continue on with your normal back loop double crochets all the way down to the other end. And each time as you're crocheting back and forth like this, when you reach this end, you're going to do the reaching into the side stitch bit, so that this part and this part will become connected. So it's like here, how this is already connected. So you're going to repeat this until you're happy with the width of it. I did about 10 rows of double crochets on this side, and now I'm just going to tie off my yarn. There we go, and that is pretty much our top completed. Next, we just have to do the sleeves. For the sleeves, I'm first going to just put this top sort of on and see how wide I want my sleeves to be and where I want it to sort of sit. And I'll be using some bobby pins to mark out all of that. So here's my top, and I've used 2 bobby pins to sort of just mark out where the sleeve is going to start on the front, and then this is where it is going to be attached on the back. To make the sleeve, I'll be first doing the chain from here to here, making sure that it's long enough for your shoulder, and then I'll be sort of crocheting like as if this part was like a circle, and then I'll be crocheting like this. But the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to grab some of my yarn and then insert my hook into where my strap would start, and then I'm going to just place my slip knot onto my hook and then pull it through. And now we are going to do a chain just long enough to wrap around your shoulder. To connect it to this little bit here, I'm just going to insert my hook from the back of this stitch. So I'm going to insert my hook in here like this, and then I'm going to grab my yarn and just yarn over and then pull a loop through. And now I've got 2 loops on my hook, and I'm just going to pull the first one through the second one like this. And now I just take my bobby pin out, and now we can sort of start crocheting in a circle. So to do that, I'm just going to half double crochet into every single stitch along here, and then continue on around the chain. So this is this chain, and plus this little bit here, this is the circle I was talking about earlier. So, you know, I'm just gonna half double crochet into every single stitch. I'm not sure if you know what a half double crochet is, but basically you yarn over and then you insert your hook into the next stitch, you grab up a loop with your hook, and then you yarn over. With a double crochet you would only pull through 2 loops and then yarn over again and then pull through the other 2, but with a half double crochet you pull through all 3 loops at once like this. And then I'm just going to repeat this in every single stitch along my circle, and you're going to just crochet round and round by doing half double crochets until your sleeve reaches your desired length. So this is what my sleeve looks like now. I've just tried it on and it looks pretty good and it also fits pretty well. So I'm just going to go ahead and tie off my yarn, and to do that I'm just going to do 2 more single crochets. So I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then again, and then I'm just going to insert into my next stitch and pull up a loop and then pull the loop through and chain 2 for my knot, and then cut that one off, and there we go. You might notice that my sleeve, like the actual stitching is a bit further apart than yours. That's because after the first row I decided to skip a stitch and replace it with a chain instead. So if you watch a lot of my other tutorials, you would know I sort of like to use this combination a lot. And yeah, and so now you're just going to go ahead and do the exact same thing on the other arm. So this is what the front of my top looks like after I did the sleeves. Now I'm going to go ahead with my white yarn and make a chain just long enough to tie across the back. I'm also going to make 2 chains from the back of my sleeve, just from these 2 ends, and then they can tie in the center to sort of keep the sleeve on your shoulder, just to make it a bit more practical. So here's the back of my top, and what I've just done is I haven't cut off my yarn yet for the chain, but I've just threaded it through, and I'm going to try it on to see if this is long enough. If it isn't, I'll just keep on going with this. If it is, I'll just cut it off and tie it off. And for the top part, I just found this like piece of yarn that's slightly off white, but I'm gonna use it anyway because I don't want to make a new one. So I've just sort of threaded it through the top of both of the back sleeve pieces, and then when I put it on I can tie in the center. So here is the final look for the back, and this is how I've tied mine. So back to the front, there's a little bow in the center here from the original that I'm trying to recreate, so I'm just going to do that now. It's pretty simple, just tie it into a little bow, and I'm gonna cut off my yarn, and that is the top done. Yay!